Hi, welcome. Today we are going to talk about raising your prices as an artist. If you don't know me, I am Amelie Hubert. I am a part-time artist on my way to being full-time, and I talk about all things related to creativity, making money as an artist, all the psychological and practical things that are part of it. Okay, so let's get started. Last week and the week before, we talked about the math of being a professional artist, as in how many paintings you would need to sell every month to make the kind of money that you need to live on, and how that would work, and spending some time seeing if it is actually realistic for you. So if you've done this, if you haven't, feel free to go watch the video. If you've done this and you realize, oh no, I cannot possibly make it because I cannot possibly paint enough paintings to sell every month to make the kind of money that I want, then you might have realized that you need to do several things, including raising your prices. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So raising your prices has two components to it. One is the psychological aspect of raising your prices, which can be really hard. And the other one is the practical, like how do I actually do it in a way that feels good? So I want to talk about the psychological first. So I see and hear a lot of artists when they want to reach their prices, there's just a lot of things that come up. A big one is the fear that I'm going to price my existing collectors out. No one's going to buy from me anymore, or it's going to be too expensive. People will think I'm arrogant, or they will laugh at me that I'm even trying to get that kind of money for my art. All kinds of things like that. And then some people also have the genuine concern of, I want my art to be affordable for people. I don't want only rich people to have my art. Which is kind of, I do feel like that to some degree, and I did feel like that for a very long time. I, just as an aside for this thinking, I want you to just take some time and think and see if it is actually that, or if it is a convenient reason to not raise your prices because deep down you feel like you're not worth it, your art is not worth it, or you have other fears and you just hide it under, I want my art to be affordable for people. Which was my case to some degree. It felt good to have my art affordable for most people, but I just started to realize that it's not very realistic. When you're making a piece that takes tens and tens of hours, the materials alone can cost up to $100 for a piece. You put so much time and energy. Selling it super cheap so that it can be affordable for people is not very realistic. And then I also think that there are other ways to make your art affordable for people. It can be prints, it can be canvas prints, it can be smaller pieces, some mini pieces, which is what I do. I have some mini pieces that are way more affordable. So anyways, that's kind of an aside on that. But I would recommend you spend some time just thinking it through, all of your objections that can come up, all of the fears, all of the reasons why you shouldn't raise your prices. One could be, I want it to be more affordable for people. One can be a fear, one can be unworthiness, to kind of see if you can find some ways around it, either to offer different solutions on a practical level or to kind of like get your mind straight. So what I mean by that, if I take this example of I want my art to be affordable for people. Okay, well, what about you think of other things that you can do to make it affordable? Like, let's say prints. That could be a good solution that makes you feel better about raising your prices. The most common thing I hear is the fear of pricing people out or having your existing collector not being able to afford your art anymore or not wanting to buy your art anymore. And I feel like I see a lot of other people, teachers, coaches online saying, oh, that's not true. If people buy at 500, they'll buy at 800. You'll see it's easier to sell a more expensive piece, blah, 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 blah. And I think to some degree it's true. We have seen a lot of artists that had trouble selling at a lower price and then raised their price, and it was actually easier to sell because they just got to speak to a market that valued this kind of prices. So I think there's some truth to it. There are a lot of people, especially art lovers, they can really love a piece, but if they see that it's at $300, they'll be like, maybe like it's a new artist, maybe they don't know what they're doing, they're amateur, or the quality's not good. Like, it will make them stop. While if the same piece is priced at 800 or 1,000, they'll be like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like, this is a great piece, it looks awesome, it's the price that I would expect for this quality, and it will make it easier for them to buy because they're not like, wait, why is it so cheap? You know? One example that I have of that is my first collector, actually, that was a friend of a friend, came to my first art show, Art Door 10 show, and bought a small piece from me for $50, which is what I had for sale. I didn't have anything more than $50 for the price of original paintings, mind you. And she bought a piece that she loved for $50. And then my friend told me as they were walking away, this lady was like, well, I love this piece, but it doesn't feel so good because it's so cheap. Like, it feels too cheap for me to have paid $50 for this. You know, it feels disposable. It doesn't feel as precious, which was like crazy to me to hear that when my friend told me that. And so, yeah, there can be that. So it can actually make it easier to sell if you raise your price to a level where the price reflects the quality and your positioning for people. So there's not sort of this like dissonance of like, oh, I thought she was a really good, really serious artist, but her price are amateur prices. So like, what's going on, you know? So I think that is definitely a thing. I also think that it is a bit of a oversimplified answer because I do think that some of the people, as you raise your prices, will be priced out. And those people are mainly your friends and families and coworkers, acquaintances that bought a lot of your pieces when you first started. You know, when you first start, you have a lot of like these people that know you that buy your art. And I think it's because those people are not necessarily people that buy a lot of art or spend a lot of money on art, but you know, they know you, they saw your journey maybe online or you talked about it, they went to your shows, they saw your pieces and they saw a piece that they liked and it was very affordable, so they bought it. And these people are, at least some of them, people that will, you know, buy a piece for $200-300 because it's you and they love you and they love your piece, but would not necessarily put $800 or $1,000 in a piece because that's just not what they do. So I think these people will be priced out, and that's just the reality of it. Now, you know, part of it and how I think about it is like, these people are super, super important because they're your first fans, the first people that supported you, that made you feel like you could do this, all that. And it's not like all of a sudden I'm too good for them and we don't care about them. But, you know, these people are not enough to support being a full-time artist. Just catering to these people in your circle will probably not be enough. So you can't really hold yourself back for these few people that will maybe buy, you know, 2-3 pieces a year amongst all of them, just for, you know, just for them, because it just won't work for you. So I still have, you know, same smaller pieces or prints, or like, you know, maybe you can do a discount. We can talk about discounts another day and whether it's a good idea or not, but or offer payment plans. You know, you can kind of work with these people, but I don't think it's a good idea to just hold yourself back indefinitely just for these few people, as important as they are. Okay, so those are kind of the main things that can hold you back psychologically. And then I think another thing that held me back was, how do I announce it? How do I talk about it? Do I announce it, first of all? Do I not? If someone asks me why I'm raising my prices, what do I say? You know, like all this kind of like how to frame it. I needed to frame it in my mind first and feel good about it before I could frame it to people and feel good about it. And as an aside, I do think that people don't care as much as you think, first of all. Like, most people will not even notice that you raise your prices even if you announce it, or they will not think twice about it. So there's that too. Like, sometimes you can't overthink it because people are not paying that much attention. But it is important, I think, to reframe raising your prices in a positive light, because it's, you know, it's weird because for most things, let's say price of food now that gets more and more expensive, it is seen as a bad thing. It is seen as inflation, the economy is not doing well, maybe the supply is not great. Like, there's a lot of reason why, you know, it's negative. Gas prices go up is negative. So for a lot of things, the fact that the price goes up is a negative thing. And we tend to sometimes think as art like we would think of a necessity or a commodity and say, well, it's bad, you know, and kind of be like, I'm sorry guys, I really need to raise my prices because I can't make it, you know. Or some people are lucky enough that they sell out of everything, so then they can be like, well, you know, I can't keep up with the demand, so I'll raise my prices. For most of us, it's more of a, we sell decently enough, but once again, we realize that we just can't keep up at those prices, painting enough to make enough money. But we don't really want to say it like that, maybe. I don't know. I think you kind of want to frame it first in your mind that raising your prices is actually a good thing for the people that have already bought from you and for the people that will buy from you. For the people that have already bought from you, because now their pieces are worth more. It's kind of like a house, you know, that you'll buy for 200,000 and then in 15 years it's worth 400,000. The value went up. It's kind of like that. Their art's value went up. And, you know, of course, we're not really, probably if you're watching this, you're not at the point where you're like, my, you know, grandma that bought a painting is gonna sell it back for double the value and make money. Like, that's not really the point. We're not really at that level where we're gonna be sold at auction. But it can be a good thing because it, you know, they got a piece for 200 that is now worth 600, you know, something like that. And then for the people that will buy from you, it is also a good thing because it means that you're more valuable, you're progressing in your career, you're established, you have some demand. you're more confident, and it's kind of, I don't know, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around it sometimes, so maybe you do too. But I think it's good to just work on changing that thinking, that it's not raising your prices, it's raising in value, and the prices reflect that value. So yeah. And so yeah. Anyways, long story short, let's get into the how I would announce it. I think, at least that's what I did that felt good. I started by contacting my past collectors and also the people that have expressed interest in buying something and have not bought yet. And I reached out to them and be like, hey, just so you know, at this date, maybe a month from now, at this date, I'll be raising my prices. So I wanted to let you know, so that if you had a piece in mind, if you were interested in a commission or something, reach out to me now so that you can get the price before it raises. And I feel like that is a much easier way to go about it, because then you're actually doing them a favor by being like, hey, you're special, so I'm letting you know what's happening. And I think also it helps, even though, you're not a business, it's just you're just one person. I mean, you're a business, but you're just one person, to kind of frame it as like, my prices will go up at this time. Like, I decided to raise my prices. It's kind of like it's this thing that happens in your business. It kind of gives a little bit of a distance between you, the artist, and you, the business person. And it's kind of like, well, the business person decided that at this point we are raising our prices, but as an artist, I'm reaching out to you to let you know that this is happening, because I want you to be able to order before the price raise. Does that make sense a little bit? So I would go about it that way. First, tell your important people, your past collectors, or people that were interested, give them a few days, and then if you'd like, announce it on social media, on your big newsletter, on wherever, so that all the people know it. And if there were some people that were contemplating buying something, but they didn't tell you, then they can make a decision. And I feel like that is a way that is also feels like you're out in the open, you're positive about it, you flip it in a positive way. You can even just express that you're excited, that you're at this point in your career where you raise your prices because, of the quality of the demand or whatever. I would say don't over explain. Like, you don't need to be like, well, I thought about it, but I'm not making enough money, or like, I sold so many paintings, but it wasn't enough, like, just don't over explain, but kind of like be like, hey guys, exciting news, my price is gonna raise. I want you to give you an opportunity to buy before, like something like that. I think, at least for me, it really helped to be transparent about it, to be kind of excited about it, to give people a little, you can order before the price raise. It just made it feel better. And then also the fact, as I said at the beginning of the video, of just raising my prices a little bit, like 10-20% max, and not like some crazy amount either. And I will say, honestly, when I raised my prices in the past, I did not see a drop in orders, in the number of people buying my paintings, or even, when I was at 10 shows, the people didn't know that, a month ago it was 500 and now it's 600. But I didn't see people have a problem with the price any more than they had before. I feel like the people that are like, oh, it's too expensive, would have said the same at 400 than they said at 600 or 800. You know what I mean? Like, and there are some pieces that are more expensive that are like, over 1,500, that some people will just clearly say like, I love this piece, but I cannot spend that kind of money on art. and that's totally fair, you know. But I feel like for any of these people that I hear, I just have just as many people that are like, how much is it? $650? Okay, fine. You know, it's not, I don't think it's going to make a big difference in just your art being harder to sell in general. It might, as we said, price some people out, but in the global of things, I don't think that it means that, you know, if you sold 20 pieces at the old price, you're gonna sell nothing if you raise 10%, you know. So yeah, there was a little bit of rambling in what I said, and I had a lot of just side notes and side stories, but hopefully it's been helpful for you. Oh, also, I wanted to finish this story with my collector that bought a $50 piece. This lady, a few years later, after I raised my prices quite a bit, and I was doing bigger paintings, did buy 2 big paintings at $800 a piece in a matter of just 3 months from each other. So just to say that, you know, sometimes you'll price people out, and sometimes you actually have people that didn't feel so good buying it $50 and felt great buying it $800. So that's just to tell you that sometimes you just never know how it's going to go. But one thing is certain in my mind: if you never raise your prices when you know that they're too low and they don't work for you, you're just holding yourself back from the fear of these few people judging you or not being able to afford you, or, you know, thinking, who does she think she is to sell her paintings at that price or whatever. So try it out. I would love to hear from you. If you have other fears or other objections that I did not cover, please leave me a comment and I'll get to it in the next video. And I hope this was helpful. All right, see you next week.